conversation of our lesson 7, which is all about virtualization and cloud concepts. So from me to everybody, all I need everybody to understand is the difference between virtualization and cloud. So if we go back to what we talked about yesterday, I did say cloud, it is a technology. It is a technology that allows us to host network resources with a service provider. So meaning that the moment we need to host our network resources with our service provider, what are we doing? Cloud. So now what do we need to understand? According to what Levert just said, cloud equals to what we call pay as you go. So what is pay as you go? You only pay for the services you use. So, Emmanuel, what do you mean by hosting network resources with a service provider? So let's say, for example, this is our organization known as Talk IT. So in Talk IT, we have our own data center. So in our data center, we host our own network resources. Network resources can be your DNS service. Network resources can be your DHCP server. Network resources can be your company applications. Network resources can also be, network resources can either be your company emails. So all of these resources, they are being hosted by our own organization. So now, we don't want our organizations to manage all of these resources. We don't want our organizations to manage this data center. So what do? We now take these resources and go do what? Give it to service provider. So what do I need to understand when we're talking about cloud? And I need to understand that in cloud, we have different types of cloud. So one of the cloud is our public cloud. One other cloud is our private cloud. And one other cloud is our hybrid cloud. Don't forget, I did mention to everybody, the whole idea is data center. And I did say data center, it is a location where network resources are being hosted. So what happened with public cloud is, public cloud service provider set up what we call data centers in different regions. So we have data center in South Africa, we have data center in US, we have data center in UK. So service providers set up data centers in different regions and says, instead of Talk IT managing their resources, what happened? Talk IT now take their resources and give it to service provider. So what type of cloud equals to this? This is now referred to as public cloud. So what is a public cloud? A public cloud, it is a cloud technology where service provider manage and host all of organization network resources. So what is a private cloud? A private cloud, organization manage their own resources. So let's say, for example, this is Talk IT. Talk IT have their own data center. Talk IT deploy their own network services. Talk IT deploy their own emails. Talk IT deploy their own application. Talk IT manage the physical location of this data center. Talk IT manage all of the services that are running within this data center. Talk IT also manage all of the wiring and the cooling within this data center. So meaning that the data center belongs to Talk IT. They do management of all of the services. They do management of the physical location where the data center is reside. They provide security for all of the services and the location where this data center is being deployed. So with public cloud, Talk IT doesn't need to manage anything here. They only need to manage the services that they subscribe to. So what is an hybrid cloud? An hybrid cloud equals to having both cloud technology. So if our organizations are using private cloud and public cloud, they are doing hybrid cloud. So what are the reasons that organizations can do hybrid cloud? One of the reasons organizations can do hybrid cloud is they have applications that they don't want to host in their own data center. So they want to host it with service provider. One of the reasons organizations can also do hybrid cloud is there are some certain applications that doesn't support public cloud. It only supports private cloud. Why? Only latest applications work with public cloud. So if organizations have legacy application, they cannot deploy that legacy application in public cloud. So what would they do? They will deploy their latest applications in public cloud and deploy their legacy applications in private cloud. So meaning that they have two clouds. So if they are using two clouds, they are doing what we call hybrid. Are you guys reading? One for your exam that you also need to put at the back of your mind. Public cloud comes in different models. So one of our public cloud equals to platform as a service. On public cloud also comes with infrastructure as a service. Public cloud also comes with software as a service. What does that mean? Meaning that the moment we say we want to move to public cloud, service provider will ask us, which services do you want to subscribe to? So the type of services that you subscribe determine how they manage and what you need to manage. Remember, yesterday I did say in public cloud we have what they call shared responsibility. You guys still remember, right? Which Lebert was actually giving us definition saying you need to know what to manage, service provider needs to know what to manage. So platform as a service equals to deploying database or application with service provider. So what happened? The service provider manage the virtual machines that this application is deployed. The service provider manage the operating system that this database is being deployed. So if we are deploying an application, the service provider only manage the platform that we deploy our applications. We have different platforms that you can deploy your applications. You have what they call app services, you have containers, you also have virtual machines. So you can choose where you want to deploy your application. So all of the platform will be managed by the service provider. You only focus on managing your database. But if we are doing infrastructure as a service, we have our virtual machine. Our organizations manage this virtual machine. Our organization manage the operating system. Our organization manage the applications that are sitting within this operating system. So that equals to infrastructure as a service. Remember, we said each of the service model that you subscribe to determines your shared responsibility, and it also determines your pricing. Did you understand? Yes. I don't want to go deep down. Like I said, pricing is another course on its own. You also need to understand pricing. Pricing talks about how much you save cost. So let me go back to real life scenario. When we're renting a property, the location your property is determine how much you pay also. You still remember, right? So you can have 2-bedroom in, okay, let me use the common one, in Sunnyside. Right? You guys know Sunnyside? Yes. No, you're supposed to. I know. You can have 2-bedroom in Sunnyside and you have the same 2-bedroom in Santee. Will the price be the same thing? No. Why? Because of the location. So anytime you are deploying a services, remember I said with public cloud, there are data centers in different regions. So the region you deploy your service also determine the cost. So if I deploy my virtual machines or my application in South Africa, if I'm doing business in South Africa, service provider charge me according to South Africa tax rate. But if I deployed my services in another country, maybe in Canada, they charge me according to Canada tax rate. So if the prices will not be the same thing, but the resources can be the same thing, the services can be the same thing, but the price will not be the same thing. So if we are doing software as a service, with software as a service, what happens? You don't need to do anything. You only need to manage your users. So software as a service, let's say for example, we have an email. Our email, it's an application, needs to be deployed on the VM. This VM comes with an operating system. So within this operating system, we need to deploy an application called an exchange. Service provider, they manage the VM, they manage the operating system, they manage this exchange application. What do? We only manage the users that get access to this application.
So that would be like the banking app?
Not really the banking app, your Office 365 email. I don't know if any of you guys use Office 365 before. Office 365 is an email which fall under your software as a services. It's been hosted by service provider. So in those days, when we need to deploy email, our company needs to have server for that email. They need to provide high availability for that email. So they need to manage the email. So now, organization now says, no, we don't want to manage we don't want to go through all of this procedure. So now they now go pay Microsoft. So Microsoft manage everything. They only manage who get access to that email. So for your exam, put this at the back of your mind. Every services that comes with Office 365, they are known as software as a service. Am I far from you guys?
No.
Are we guys winning?
Yes.
So now we understand cloud. We understand the different types of cloud, which is public cloud, private cloud, and hybrid cloud. We understand that cloud, it is a technology that allows us to host our network resources with a service provider. So we now understand that public cloud, your services are being hosted with service provider. Private cloud, your services are hosted within your organization. Hybrid cloud, combination of private cloud and public cloud. We guys are winning, right? So let's look at virtualization. So what is virtualization? What is virtualization? virtualization, it is a technology that allows us to create a virtual instance from a physical instance. So virtualization, it is a technology that allow organization or allow users, allow organization to create virtual instance from a physical instance. So Emmanuel, what do you mean? How do we create virtual instance from a physical instance? So now I need to understand that virtualization is, I need to have one, then from one I create another. One of the concepts of virtualizations that banking starts using, it's a virtual card. And many of us uses the virtual card. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
I did say to us yesterday, inside your banking app, you have your physical card, right?
Yes.
So the moment you use your physical card, all of your cards are assigned to your physical card. So the moment you use your physical card, if an attacker attacks your physical card, what will happen? It will get access to your fund. So now I want to buy an item online. So what do I need to do? I don't want to use my physical card. So I can go create a virtual card from my banking app. So from that virtual card, I can go load certain amount of funds to that card, and I can use that card to do my transaction. So if an attacker attacked the virtual card, would that affect my physical card? No. But if I don't have a physical card, can I create a virtual card? No. So you first of all need to have a physical in order to create a virtual. So now let's look at this scenario. We have only one laptop, right? So this laptop comes with Windows 10. According to company policy, company says everybody must change their operating system to Windows 10. So now we still have departments known as HR. They have applications that support only Windows 7. So what would we do? So now HR have an application that supports Windows 7. Now organization policy is let's move to Windows 10. So will that application work in Windows 10? No. Does that mean that HR will not use the application? No. So what do we need to do? From our physical machine, we can go install Windows. We can go install, we have Windows 10 installed on this machine. From Windows 10, we can go create a fixture known as Hyper-V. From Hyper-V, we can go create a virtual machine. From this virtual machine, we can install Windows 7. Did you get it? So now anytime HR wants to use Windows 10, they log on to their physical machine. Anytime they need Windows 7, they log on to their virtual machine. Did you guys understand? But if there wasn't a physical machine, would there be a virtual machine? No. So we have what they call virtual machine in virtualization. We also have what they call virtual hard drive in virtualization. We also have what they call virtual networking in virtualization. So like I said, a virtualization is just a concept that allows us to create a virtual instance from a physical instance. So we have two types of virtualization for our exam. We have what they call type 1 virtualization, and we have what they call type 2 virtualization of your virtual machine. So when you are doing virtualizations of virtual machine, you can either do type 1 or you can do type 2. What is the difference? Type 1 virtualization, you install an hypervisor on the physical machine. Type 2 virtualization, you install an operating system on the physical machine and you enable Hyper-V on that physical machine. So type 1 depends on hypervisor on the physical machine. Type 2 depends on operating system enabling Hyper-V. So these are all you need to know for your exam. Anybody with a question before we look at our last lesson? Question?